Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. What is happening? Welcome to Working Hours, a show about a place called Leeds, a time called now, and an activity called work. Working Hours wants to record 1,000 loiners over the course of this, the most important decade in the history of the human species, and ask them what they do all day and hear how they feel about it. My name is Simon, and this is all my fault. What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I grew up, the first thing I ever remember wanting to be was a scientist. I didn't have the terminology, obviously, because I was in primary school, for what kind of scientist, but I used to be at home, always mixing stuff together, mixing little potions of stuff, just to see what would happen. So yeah, I suppose a chemist, it's what I wanted to be.
Oh. You're listening to Series 3, Episode 10, and to my guest, Kahina Grant. This is another Zoom interview recorded on the 5th of the 5th, 2022. Evening, colleagues. Kahina Grant is the owner of Grants of Leeds. Grants of Leeds started after Kahina had her first child during the first lockdown. She started with the aim of using her chemistry expertise to produce products that made people feel good. Grants of Leeds now sells candles, wax melts, and reed diffusers. Ever since Kahina can remember, she's always wanted to be a chemist. After 4 years of study, she left university with a master's degree in chemistry, unsure what to do and how to utilize her new powers in a way that she was passionate about. Kahina uses her chemistry skills to perfect her products and deliver items that she loves and is excited to share with people. Kahina plans to expand into producing high-quality skincare products in the next year. Check out Grants of Leeds at grantsofleeds.com. I think this is a cracking episode. I'm excited to share some of the other great interviews I have done lately over the last few weeks. I want to up my production and quality, but you will likely see a dip over the next few weeks as, predictably, I have to go back to temping as I need to get some real income in right now. I will try to get episodes edited and turned into an episode and get them out to you each Monday still, and also get bonus episodes produced for Patreons and arrange and record new interviews and do full-time temping. Seems easy podcasting, doesn't it? Making one of anything is easy. Making enough of a thing to get money from, well, as we discuss in this episode, that's a different thing entirely. So if you like anything about working hours, please nurture that feeling and then this podcast by visiting my Patreon, www.patreon.com/workinghourspod. Please sign up there for £1 a month. Yes, I could put the prices up and do X, Y, Z in terms of monetization, but I'm focusing on what I see as important, and that's this show. And the £1 per month subscriber option is really, really important to me. I really encourage you to subscribe at that level. It's partially to kind of subsidize other users, but it's also that people, so that it can be accessible to people to purchase it at a cheap amount. If you've listened to 4 or more of these, please subscribe for £1. Also, there will be a live stream this Friday for Patreon, so please join up now for that. Once again, the Patreon is patreon.com, and Patreon is patreon.com. You should know that by now. Patreon.com/workinghourspod. If you are Leeds, it's £1 a month. If you are not Leeds, then please join me at the £5 here. Because if you aren't Leeds, you're most likely to be US. And you are obviously made of money unless you're broke, because there's only rich and poor people in the Americas, something we have been working very hard on copying on this island. I now have 3 Patreons, so I would like to thank each of them. They know who they are. So that's my super special best people ever, Patreon 1 and 2, and the very special £5 Patreon. Once again, if you are Leeds and you're listening to this, then please help the show. The podcast is still at risk, even as it's getting bigger, better, and more interesting. So any social media shares or mentions, any donations of money, etc., are still super desperately needed and very, very gratefully received. Again, my ask is for only £1 a month. The second ask from you is to come on this podcast, no matter what you do for work. I still need to find a whole bunch of new guests. I have sourced all these recent interviews, but it will help so much if you choose for yourself to come on. have your say, have your voice heard, have your experience represented. I mean, have you heard your voice or your experience represented here? Yes or no? Tell me about your work either way. Listeners, please tell anyone who you think is interesting or does interesting work, or even anyone boring who does a boring job. Please keep your eyes and ears out for anyone who you think would be willing to come on this show and let us hear all about their work. If you are a startup or SME, get in touch with me. Talk to me about sponsorship or advertising, or even notifications of your sales or of recruitment. Do you want me to tell people that you're recruiting? Do you want me to tell people that you've got a sale on? I can tell leads. This could be a great cheap space to advertise your leads business. Why not build a relationship with me now while I am cheap? Like, share, follow, and subscribe to this podcast. I'm doing all I can to bring this to you. So if you do like anything about it, please follow and promote the show on and off social and wherever you can, whenever you remember. Please give money to this show, and please give me any feedback, questions, or comments that you may have. Email workinghourspod@western-studios.com, or use one of my social channels to get in touch with me. Links for all those social channels will be the end of the show. Now, please enjoy this totally free and totally ad-free, as far as I know, episode of Working Hours with Kahina Grant from Grants of Leeds. What is it that you're doing now?
Chemistry, which is great. So now I'm handmade soy wax candles, wax melts, reed diffusers. We have some skincare on the horizon. Really just chemistry, but free chemistry where I can actually just make whatever I want, which is very nice.
Cool. So how long have you been doing this then, and what kind of took you into it?
So I've been doing this for about just over a year now. And what took me into it is I've had this whole plan of how I was going to become a chemist. And at the time, I actually wanted to create medications, like pharmaceuticals.
Cool.
Because my mum died when I was a teenager. And I thought to myself, maybe one day I can go and I can make a medicine and that might save someone's life.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Anyway, when I got to uni, I realized I didn't want to do that because the actual process of making pharmaceuticals is it's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. It was never for me. It's too long-winded.
Yeah.
So I got my master's degree, and the ultimate goal was always to go back and do my PhD one day. And I started doing my PhD. It was in, we're studying the recycle and reuse of lithium-ion batteries from electric cars.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. It was interesting. You know, after I graduated, I went to work because I was tired of having no money as a student. So I went and got a job. And actually, I realized I missed the learning. I missed the studying. I missed the making. So I went back. But then toward the end of my first year, I found out I was pregnant with my son. So I've got a 2-year-old now. And that kind of really drove home for me that whilst my PhD was interesting, it was cool, there is a lot of additional stuff you have to do in academia, which almost feels like doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff sometimes. The culture is very first one in, last one out. You've got to be seen to be there in the office. And, you know, that's the only way you can prove that you're working.
Yeah.
But having a child, and I'm a single parent, so it's just him and me. It was never going to be conducive with that at all.
Yeah.
Before I had my son, I was doing I would say I worked 50 to 60 hours a week on my PhD. It's just not conducive. How are you going to do that with a newborn?
Yeah.
And actually, when I went on maternity leave, I realized that whilst the university care about you, they can replace you very easily.
Yeah.
And they are happy to do so, literally.
Yeah.
When I was on maternity leave, they there wasn't that much communication between them and me. I felt a little bit abandoned. This was a very changing time in my life.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
They kind of just went, "We'll see you when you get back."
yeah,
Then I came back, and my heart just wasn't in it anymore.
yeah.
Like, so much had changed. I had this child. I'd moved out of Newcastle back to Leeds,
Mm.
because that's where my family are.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wanted him to have that. And my heart wasn't in it. And I just sat down one day, I was thinking to myself, what can I do
Mm.
with the skills I have
Mm.
to do something that I love?
Yeah.
If ever there's a time to do it, it's now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, through a lot of trial and error and buying a lot of candles and realizing I wasn't getting the scent quality that I wanted from them,
Yeah.
specifically lavender it was, because, I'd had a baby, struggled to sleep, didn't want to be burning incense around him.
Yeah.
It's all a lot. So I decided to try and make one.
Mm-hmm.
I made one, and I was like, oh, I can actually do that because I have the skills to do it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like I had to learn all these new skills. I have the skills, the stirring, the pouring. You do that all day at uni.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
you sort of reverse engineered it as well, didn't you? Because it's not like you had the recipe. It's kind of like, oh, well, what do I know is in it? And then what else can I work out is in it?
Yeah, exactly. Plus also the benefit of the fact that I was on a research degree before this means I'm very good at research.
Yeah.
Even in the undergraduate, you have to do research all the time. You have to read all these papers and all that kind of stuff. It means I have a lot of knowledge about even things like what a wax is, how a wax behaves. A lot of people don't think of a wax as it's really an oil, to be honest. So, you can't mix it with water. There's certain things you shouldn't use. Probably don't use alcohol. That's water-based. And I already had that knowledge. So I did some research, watched some videos of people making candles online, figured out what I would need. And I was like, I'm going to try it. And I sold those first candles to members of my family, actually. They worked as candles. Like they were good, actually. They were quite good, to be honest, for a first attempt, if I'm being honest. And then I sort of like honed it, made it better, wanted to see how much fragrance can I really put in there before it starts to reduce the quality of the wax. So if you put too much, your wax is not going to set properly. It's not going to behave properly because it's got too much of this oil in it. And yeah, then the candles turned out actually quite good. People liked the candles.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's go for it.
So, I mean, did you very much go from a product first approach? Then it was like, let's nail this product, and then, you've got some sales to your family. It can sell potentially. What the product's like being used. So, when did you sort of think of the client side? I mean, when did you sort of do the market research, as it were?
So, the market research sort of things, I know candles sell because I am a candle person, so I buy a lot of them. I sort of asked around as well as I made the first candles. So I wanted to see if can I actually do this first of all?
Yeah.
I make these candles at home in my house. I've got a toddler. It's a lot. I have to see if it's possible. And then when I went and I made them and I gave them, they bought them, obviously, to my family. I sort of like asked for feedback, like, okay, what did you think of the candle? Did you like the way the candle looked? Did you like the scent quality? That's how I found out I needed to put more fragrance oil in. So I kind of got a little bit of market research from there, but I really went with the product.
Yeah.
Our candles used to be clear. They're in a matte black jar now, but they used to be clear. And those first clear candles, I just made some. Tried to get people I knew to buy them and give me their opinion on them. And then it wasn't until really like, I had the social media. The social media was there, posted about my candles, but not something I have ever done before. Being in academia, you don't. I think we do. They probably do now, actually, to be fair. But when I was there, not really. So it wasn't until like October, I would say, when I really went out and I started being like, right, okay, I'm going to try and sell these to people that I don't know,
Yeah.
to actual strangers, see what they think. Because my family will, yeah, they're going to tell me it's nice, but also they're going to tell me it's nice because they're my family. So
Yeah. And you're not going to make a massive amount of profit out of them, are you? So
exactly, that was the problem. I created the website, I took the pictures, and I put the products up there. And I don't know what I was expecting to happen. I feel like I was expecting people to just buy them.
yeah.
Like the website's there. Why are
Yeah.
people not buying them?
Yeah.
And I sat
It's the
there for a
internet.
while.
Like, surely just
Yeah,
everyone's there to see it.
but
Someone
you
should
just
buy
see
it.
it. Like I'm posting about it. Are you not seeing the product? But then it actually dawned on me one day. It's a scented product. How do you like? I have the scent notes on my website,
Mm.
but at the same time, can't smell it.
Mm.
Now, when people smell the product, sometimes they're looking at when I do a market stall, they're looking, but then they come over and smell the product.
Mm.
That's when they're like, oh,
Mm.
I might buy this,
Mm.
because they've smelled it now. So that's my biggest selling point, really, the smell. That's
Yeah.
50%. So I realized I had to actually go out there, but that doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not that kind of person. I'm very introverted. So I was trying to avoid doing that as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. I can sympathize.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned markets. I was going to ask, like, when did you think about sort of, I need a distributor, I need like someone to exhibit and distribute this for me. So did you think straight away you were going to have your own market stall, or was it like, I need to be in someone else's shop or market, or when did that come into it for you?
Honestly, it was very slow for me to actually make that connection, to be honest. I was just sitting there. I had the candles there. I'm just sitting there. And then I went and I actually spoke to a cousin of mine who, she does, she helps other businesses with marketing as well. And we sat down and she was like, have you ever thought about just, taking your product to a market? I'd never thought about it.
Mm.
So this was in summer last year. It's still quite warm, probably like August time. And then I was like, okay, well, I didn't really want to do that. But, we decided to try it. I tried it. I went there in October, I think my first market was. It was in Gate Market. And I just set up a market stall and I realized what a difference that made.
Yeah, yeah.
And that also gave me a boost of confidence, I feel like. But it took me about 8 months in before I actually thought to myself, okay, go take your product outside. No one's going to see it in your house.
Nice.
Because no one ever comes to my house anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you'd just be piling them up in the corner, wouldn't you? It's just like, I'm making them and they're not selling.
That's exactly what it was like. I made like all these candles. It must have been like 100. I even have some of them still now. To this day, I still sell some of those candles every so often. And it's just like, they were just sitting there in a cupboard. And I was like, well, who's seeing them?
Well, I think as well, because so I know you from like some of the adventure things online.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm assuming you started in lockdown as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's a really weird time to start a business because especially, like customers are not there, businesses are not there unless you are online. So yeah, your immediate thought is going to be social media, and then I'll just keep producing them and eventually they'll start selling and then they'll just leave the house.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. Like, I was just like, well, we can't go outside. It was February 2021. Also, I had like a 10-month-old at the time. He hadn't started nursery. He was at home with me all the time. And it was like, we don't go anywhere. So I'm just going to put them online. Well, actually, who's seen them? In reality, who's actually seen them? And I didn't really consider that at all. I don't know. I feel like I had a bit of a plan when I started my business, but also not really.
Well, that's the thing though. Until you start doing it, you can't, like, you can plan as much as you want. You think you've got all the variables covered and all the things that you have to do. And then you start doing it and sort of, especially if nothing's happening, you kind of like, why is nothing happening? What's not working here? Like, I've thought of everything. Surely there's what am I missing? And then later these things sort of occur to you of like, why haven't I been doing this? Why haven't I been doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Even like last week, it just occurred to me. So my friend also has a business, and I follow her business and I buy stuff from her business and stuff.
Mm.
And when she shares the little Instagram reel she makes,
Mm.
she tags the product on her story, like actually puts the link.
Mm.
And last week I was just like, why don't I do that? Because you know what? No one sees your website because they don't know it exists. Why do
Yeah.
you not tell people that
Yeah.
that you have a website? I don't. And since I've done that, I've already made more sales just from doing that.
Yeah.
But you never think of that because why would I think of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well, I
have no
mean,
idea.
you kind of do eventually, I think, when you start doing those little bits on social media, because like you say, you notice what other people are doing because you're looking
Yeah,
more for, but it's like, why is theirs working? What's working about that that's not working for
exactly.
me?
And being on the adventure program, I used to go to all the webinars. I
Mm.
go to a lot less now because, outside is open and things are
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah.
And I'm introverted, so I don't want to go outside.
Mm.
Preferably, if I could not go outside, that would be great. The ideal for me would be that people just order stuff on my website and I don't have to go outside at all.
Mm.
But obviously, that's not practical.
Mm.
So I do a
It's not
lot
good
less.
for you either.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I realized during lockdown. During lockdown, I was so happy. Well, obviously not happy when we first went into lockdown. I was like 30 weeks pregnant. It was really scary.
Oh.
But like, actually, I enjoyed being in my house. I was
Mm.
like, this is nice.
Mm.
I don't have to go places. This is great. And then after about 6 months, I was like, wait, actually, maybe you're not as introverted as you thought because,
This is pretty horrible. I'm going crazy.
yeah, yeah, just 4 walls every day and a newborn that's crying.
Yeah. And it's filling up with
Anyway,
candles.
literally, honestly, space is completely mad. But yeah, like I went to all these workshops on social media and, I went to all the webinars, literally every single thing
Well, that's
I
it.
could.
Yeah. It's like nothing
I
else
was at
is
home.
happening. What can I do? What can I do? Yeah.
I'm at home. I can go there with my son there as well because,
Yeah.
like I'm just watching it
Mm.
and listening.
Mm. And it feels like work because it's work related. It's training, it's education, it's work,
Yeah, exactly.
working.
This is the thing. I went to all these things and then actually even little things like adding text to my Instagram reels.
Mm.
Do you know how much that's improved my engagement? Just adding text to my Instagram reels.
Mm.
And it's only because I saw someone do that and I was like, why don't I do that?
Mm.
The reason is because Instagram is very glitchy
Mm.
and it does not like when you add text. It doesn't like when you do anything on reels and it just closes down your whole reel. But persevering through that,
Yeah.
it's improved my engagement. But I'm sure they said that in the webinar. I'm
Yeah.
sure they would have said that.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was.
But you also
Don't know
had
until you do it.
a 10-month baby, 10-month-old running around. So
Yeah.
it's quite hard to take all of that information in. at the
Yeah. I
same
feel
time.
like whilst it was a great time to start my business, like that was the time because obviously I'm already knowing I'm not gonna be able to continue with my PhD. So I've got nothing on.
Mm.
That was the best time. But because I had a really small child, I didn't really factor that in.
Mm.
Because I'd never had a really small child before. So
Yeah.
when he was really young, it was actually very easy for me to do other stuff. Well, no, actually, I won't say that. My son was very, very, what's the word? He just wanted to be around me all the time.
Mm.
Like, even to this day,
Mm.
all the time, everywhere I go, he's there. It's like having a shadow. Um, but as he got older, it became more difficult for me to do other things because
Yeah.
he's a year old now. Then suddenly he's walking.
Yeah. And then they start talking.
Yeah, as soon as he learned to crawl, doing any work with him in the house was just
Yeah.
it's not happening because he would pull himself up on the sofa and just get in the laptop and like little things like that. I didn't consider how much time I would actually have to spend on my laptop.
Yeah.
And actually, doing social media did not consider how much time that takes up at all.
Yeah.
That's like probably like 2 days out of my week is
Yeah.
just doing that.
I mean,
So,
did that feel relentless? Like, because, as you say, you're not getting I mean, considering the engagement that you're getting now from the things that you've done and the engagement that you were getting at the time, and you're trying to do social media, you're spending a lot of time on it and you're being distracted. Like, did you feel you were getting any benefit out of social media at all at that point? Or was it just like, I'm just doing this and it's not doing anything for me?
Yeah, not really. I feel like I definitely have given up on social media a few times.
Yeah.
Like, you'll see, I tend to try and follow the post every day, but then sometimes there'll be weeks when I haven't posted, like, especially after Christmas. After Christmas, I don't think I posted anything for the whole of January because I was just like, I'm posting and making all these videos and no one's interacting with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's actually taking up so much of my time.
And
At
your
1
brain.
a.m. Yeah, at 1 a.m., why am I editing videos and having to wake up out of my sleep and write down ideas
Yeah.
for social media? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And no one's seeing it. Obviously, I'm glad I stuck with it, but social media is a very hard beast because in this age, I feel like
You want those likes, you want the likes, you want the engagement. It's like, God,
you,
come on.
you want people to enjoy it. Also, you're so used to everything being perfect. So on social media, everyone's lives, every product, video looks perfect. And I make candles for a living. It's not a very clean job. It's very messy. Also, I don't have a lot of space. So it's very hard for me to just set up a nice, like my brother's a videographer. He's always telling me how to make my videos better. And I'm just like, but in the practical term, when I've got wax in my hand and there's not a lot of space, it's very hard for me to create that picture perfect social media. And I feel like that was definitely a barrier for me. I felt like it wasn't good enough to post, so I would just not post anything. When in reality, when I started just posting stuff, anyway, little videos of me making candles, those are the ones that get the most traffic on my page. Just behind the scenes of me making a candle. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, what I found is if it's perfect or the lighting's good and all that, it might get better engagement, but people enjoy it either way.
Yeah.
So it's better for me to put it out.
Yeah.
It took a long time for me to get there though.
Yeah. It's like the content of the content is what
matters.
And, but also it is sort of quantity, not quality as well. It's just like, just throw stuff at it. And then the more that you can get out there, hopefully the more engagement you'll eventually get.
This is it. I feel like social media can be very overwhelming because it really is. Like, quality is obviously important, but sometimes I can just throw together a reel 5 minutes, throw it out there with a trending sound. 500 people have liked that.
Yeah.
But then when I sit there and design a reel, and so like I have one in mind that I'm going to film later on today, it's going to take me probably like an hour to film it, I reckon. With all the different shots I'm going to have to get. And I bet you no one will interact with it at all. And it just feels very never ending because they just want content all the time. And it's just like, but when I make the content, where are the people? How come Instagram is not showing the people my content,
But the thing is as well, though, like they say reach and engagement, but we don't know what that means really, do we? I mean, and also it's like talking to other people about this, they've sort of said, people that you meet in real life will say, oh yeah, they'll talk about your posts and stuff or something that you posted. And it's like, you saw that. Well,
yes.
Why haven't you liked it? Why haven't you engaged?
Why didn't you like it? Why aren't you on my website buying the product then?
Yeah. If you saw it, why didn't you share it?
This is it. And I feel like a lot of people are very sort of like selective about what they do share. And I don't personally get that. If I like it, I will just be sharing. I share all kinds of stuff. But a lot of people are selective with it. But you're right. I went somewhere completely out of the blue and I saw someone I used to go to church with when I was a child. So I went to a church, like, just regular community church. But obviously went there for like 14 years. Know everybody, even though they're my grandparents' age. And someone my grandma's age came up to me and went, I saw your video about your candles on Facebook. And I was like, what? In fact, no, she didn't say that because actually, I don't think she would quite remember where she saw it or anything like that. But like, I'm like, you saw my video. how are you seeing my video? You know what I mean? That's very mad if you think about it. Like, obviously, you want people to see it, but then I'm like, that video got 0 likes.
Yeah.
0 like
Yeah.
video.
But you've no idea how many people have actually seen it.
Exactly. And then I feel like I get a lot of reach for how many followers and stuff I have. I have relatively high reach, but I feel like that does not translate into people going on my website and buying the product. I don't know how to make them do that. I don't. I just don't. I feel like it's almost like Russian roulette.
Well, I mean, did you feel kind of similar with like, so my thing at the moment is like, I haven't been paid for like knocking on 3 years now. So I'm like, I need to get paid at this point. And I'm just like, so this is like the major problem for me at the moment. It's like, how do I get money off people? Like, did you have that initially of like, did you make a sale quite quickly? I suppose you were selling to your family, but like when you getting that first customer was like the first random customer really important to you?
Yeah, I feel like when I went to the first market ever, I was very nervous. I'm not a salesperson. I am really, really and truly my personality. I'm a chemist. I'm a chemist for a reason because that's who I am as a person. I'm meticulous. And also I like to be in the lab with my headphones on, not talking to anyone because that's what brings me joy. So having to go outside, talk to a stranger, and then get them to buy something that I made, that was daunting. So my dad came with me and he helped me set up and everything. And after about an hour, he was like, "You're just completely fine." Like, it's like that first sale came in, it took about half an hour, I think.
Nice. Yeah.
But it gave me, every sale I make gives me so much more confidence to go out there and do it. But I think often people don't realize how draining it is, first of all, to do that all the time. So I tend to do markets at the weekend, which means I've got to sort out childcare, I've got to do all of this other stuff. Also, it's the weekend. So even though technically Monday is my weekend because I have my son at home, it's not a weekend because my son is at home. And been going through a phase of waking up at 5 a.m. It's not a weekend, really, because you make him get up at 5 a.m. So going out and doing all of that is very draining. And it's very daunting. Every time I go to a market, I'm nervous every single time. Every single time I don't want to go. I'm just going to be honest. I don't want to go. But I have to really like hype myself up.
But you're doing it for yourself as well, though. That's the thing. Well, you're doing it for yourself, for your son, and like, you know, it's your product. So it's, you know, it makes it that bit easier, doesn't it? Because it's like, this is mine. It's my thing. I'm doing this for me, you know, and I have to do this. It's part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so when I was doing a PhD, the thing with the PhD is cool. You get to learn all of this stuff. You're financed by the university, or at least I was financed by the university. Or rather a wider project. It's a whole complicated thing. I was financed either way. But anything you make during your PhD is not really yours. It's not yours. Like you might write a paper, get credits. But that work that you do does not belong to you. If you create something amazing, it belongs to the university. You have to sign a contract. It belongs to them. It all belongs to them. And it's a lot more hard. It's a lot more difficult to motivate yourself to get up and do something when you're not feeling it, when you know that anything you create is not yours.
Yeah.
I feel like I started to struggle with that. So in my undergraduate, it wasn't an issue because you weren't really creating. I did create a few things. Like I did some stuff. It was good work. But, you know, then I got my degree and I left. But the PhD is 4 years of your life. And at the end of that, it's not yours.
Yeah.
Whereas this is mine. And I do think it's very amazing to see that just over a year ago, I made a candle. In fact, it was probably about a year ago I made the first candle. Because I had to do my research, all the stuff, all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing to see now how many people know about my product, especially in my local community. So the problem for me is getting out of my local community. My local community know my product exists. Not all of them, but actually quite a lot. Sometimes strangers come up to me and they're like, "You sell those candles, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Would you like a candle?" I probably got some in the car, if you want. And that's amazing because that belongs to me. No matter what happens, that's mine. It belongs to me. But that also means all the stress, all the finance, all of that belongs to me. But the product is mine. And that gave me motivation I never thought it could, honestly. Because it's mine. You know what I mean? Like, it's got my name on it.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Literally got my name on
it. So I'll take a brief moment here in the chat.
Okay, so I brought lunch actually. I mean, can I?
Well prepared.
Yeah, can I eat that? Do you mind?
I don't mind.
Okay, cool. I didn't know how long we were going to be talking for, so I microwaved it before I came.
So I just so you had a bit the call froze a bit earlier on. So I meant to mention this in the pre-record chat. So yeah, I just generally wait it out when it does that, and so I would advise you the same. Like if I suddenly freeze or whatever, just wait. It should come back, and we'll try and pick up the conversation wherever we were.
Okay.
So, and we've kind of gone. I mean, we've covered bits of some of my questions. So yeah, I think we've covered. No, but that's fine. It's like it sort of comes up naturally anyway. So I think we've done the social media one. I think what I'll do next is ask you the sort of change question, but I also want to get how you found the price and whether you priced yourself too low or too high. Like, have you found the right price for your product now, do you think? And does it give you the margin that you need in terms of the volume that you're selling? Like, are you like, how much have you kind of invested? Are you anywhere near to breaking even? Are you in profit yet?
No, not near to breaking even, but that's because of the sheer amount of equipment I have to buy. Honestly. So I have a hot plate. I have to buy like pans, jugs, all that kind of stuff. Also, wax comes in like 20 kilo boxes. So that's very expensive. Whenever I have to replace the wax, it costs a fortune. Also, stuff like having to actually invest in. So like I had the website designed, I had the logo designed. I now do a lot of my own designs, but also I have to buy like cards to give away and all that kind of stuff. But I do feel like I get the margin I need. For a long time, I felt like I priced myself too high.
You can always have a sale.
I actually have sales all the time, to be fair, because sometimes I just have a lot of stock and I'm just like, please buy it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have space to keep all this stock in my house. Like I can't, if I have too much stock, something's got to go. But I feel like now people have become more comfortable with my prices. There are still people who go look at me and they're like, that's very expensive. But also at the same time, we'll go to Yankee Candle and pay 30, 40 pounds for a candle.
Yeah.
That's mass produced when mine was actually hand poured. So I feel like I had to very much say to myself, a lot of times I wanted to drop my price to make people buy more, but actually you have to pay for my time too. And also the years of experience. I have so many years of experience of doing stuff like this that, it'll be probably a bit more applicable when we branch into the skincare, because obviously then I've got to do all kinds of behind the scenes chemistry stuff. But even in this, I use it all the time, the experience. And the reason why you're paying is for the quality. But also, I literally sat down at home and made this product for you. Like, some of my products are actually made to order. So, like, they decide on the color, on the scent, and I go home and make it to them. So I feel like I had to.
Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying, I feel like I had to believe in myself, because actually I look at, so for example, there's a YouTuber I follow called Jackie Anna. She also sells candles. Her candles are so much more expensive than mine. So much more. But people would happily pay that for hers because it's hers. So one day people will happily pay that for mine. And I just had to believe that, and it's working.
Good. Yeah. So I said I was going to do the change question next, and so the question there is, if you could change any 3 things about your work, like today, so you've got sort of carte blanche to do whatever with it, what would you change about work?
If I could change, the first thing I would change would be I would not make the product in my house anymore. It's very chaotic doing it in my house. Also, I've got a toddler now. He's getting into stuff. And because I sell more products, it's gradually expanding into my house. So I would have a nice space, very clean, because I am a scientist after all. And that would make it easier for me to make my products. And I think it would just make it a bit less stressful, if that makes sense. My space is quite small. Like I do actually have a little video about my space on social media that I posted. People were really interested actually in where I make them, but it's a cupboard. It's like an outhouse, so it's very stressful. And I feel like I would have more space to stock, and actually, it would make each candle cheaper because I can make more at a time, which is better value for money. So, yeah, that would be the first thing. The second thing I would probably change, I feel like I was going to say I would change the fact that I have to go outside and sell my product, but I don't think I would. I think I would probably slightly change my personality so that I'm more excited about that kind of stuff, like networking and all that kind of stuff, because it gets me a lot of opportunities, but it doesn't come naturally to me. And if I could change anything, it'd probably be a little bit less emphasis on who you know and a little bit more focus on what you know.
Spoken like a scientist.
Yeah, because the thing is, I know a lot of people who make and sell candles. To be honest, a lot of people make and sell candles. Actually, the market is very saturated. But I know a lot of stuff, and I feel like I wish people cared about that a bit more.
Or that you had you had more of a way to express it. I mean, is that what the other products are kind of? Is that why you're thinking of other products of like, I need to do more, I can do more things?
Yeah, this is it. With me, like I've made the candles, I've mastered the candles now. Okay, they aren't perfect, but they are as good as I can make them in the space that I have. I'm constantly, I want to do more. I just want to do more. And I don't think the issue is that people don't care, but I actually posted about my story and my journey, and I posted a video and like what are they called, carousel post about it. People were actually really interested, but I wish I was better at saying that, at talking about that, a little bit better is at praising myself and bigging myself up a little bit. I know I've done it on here, but that's because I came here with the plan of talking about it. Obviously, I knew we were going to talk about it. But in person, I don't actually mention it to people most of the time because I feel like, are you guys not tired of hearing?
Well, that's it. And you don't want to be
chemistry
selling to your friends and selling to everyone you meet, but like also you need to sell to everyone you meet. It's like, when do you switch that off, and when's the best time to do it?
Yeah, it's not very in me to be talking to my friends and be like, yeah, do you want to buy my candles?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you enjoyed the experience. That like it sounds like you do get some enjoyment out of the sales and out of meeting people and out getting that feedback from people of like they buy again, they enjoy the products. And
so even though going to markets is a bit stressful for me and it's a little bit hectic for me, I love it when people come over, smell my product, and they go, "That's really nice." I love that. Like, I live for that. And I come up with new products all day, every day, just so that people will do that. get new scents. I try new things just so that people will go, oh, that's nice. But I love it. But it is very hard for me to do it. I wish it was a bit easier for me. Access that, that side of me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what if I could, a third thing that I would change? If I could change a third thing, I think I would have some staff of some sort, like outsource some of my stuff. Up until very recently, I did all the accounts, I do all the social media. I like making stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care about paying taxes at all. I don't know how to pay taxes. I have no idea. That's why I had to get an account. I have no idea. Like, I did a self-assessment tax and I was like, I don't know about that. Actually, I'm not confident doing this because that's not in my brain capacity to care about. But I like making stuff and I wish I had more time to experiment and try new stuff instead of constantly being like social media and I've got to be here and then I've got to be posting this and then I've got to be filming this reel and then people are constantly saying I should put more videos of myself on my page, and it's just like the amount of time that takes. I got to get dressed nicely. I got to look presentable, all of that.
A bit of get your happy mood on, so you're in that like buoyant sort of, hey, social media, hi, how are you?
Hi, do you want to talk about candles?
God, I'm making a bloody video.
I'm not always in the mood for any of that. And it's like, I wish I had someone, even if I just had an assistant, who literally just did that kind of stuff for me, like replied to comments, wrote social media captions. Writing social media captions takes me way too long. Because I've said everything. I've got like 250 posts on my page. I've said
that's it. You just have to keep saying the same thing over and over again, don't you?
I know.
Yeah.
Like, are you guys not tired of seeing this same picture of these same candles that I took last week?
But that's the thing, not everyone's seeing it, so it does go around. It is worth doing it.
I know it's good for the business. I've even like resharing my Instagram reels.
Yeah.
I make an Instagram reel, and up until recently, I used to make that reel, post that reel, never look at that reel again. But I've put all that work into it. Why don't I just actually share it? Because actually, I get new followers all the time who haven't seen that reel.
Yeah.
And they're interested in that reel.
Yeah.
But for me, it all just seems very, just not passionate about doing that. I'm just, because like...
Yeah, you don't get the it's not like making a direct sale. It's not like, doing the actual production work. It's not, it's like, where's the joy in this?
Yeah, this just feels like, this feels like work.
Yeah.
And obviously sometimes making candles does feel like work. Sometimes I don't really feel like doing that.
Yeah.
The other week I did a super large collection for me. And I did not feel like doing it. And it did feel like work, but it was still fun. Once I started doing it, I was still like,
yeah.
Whereas when I start doing social media, I'm like, I'm not having a good time. I'm tired. I'm asleep. I just wish I wish I had someone to just help me, even with like, when I go to a market, I have to manually can all of these candles. The candles are so heavy. I don't think I can overstate how heavy the boxes of candles are. And like, just someone, I just wish I had someone, maybe like an assistant.
It's someone to share it with. It's someone of like, and just the sort of like, even just someone of like, oh God, this thing or this account or this thing that we're working on, just someone that's there. And so I'll give you an example with this. Like, so doing the podcast, like generally I'll get everything together for a Monday. So I might do some editing before, but generally it's like, because I'm putting it out Monday, I'll go through the interview, put on the intros and outros, possibly write the script for the intros and outros on the day. And I'm like barreling towards this kind of arbitrary 6 p.m. deadline that I've given myself that nobody cares about other than me. So it's only because I've made it up and I'm like, I need to be there consistently, which I rebel against occasionally as well. And then, so you do all this and it's like my busiest day because, that I'm actually doing something that's producing something. And then you get to putting the podcast out and then you sort of do your social media posts and stuff. And then it's like, you've done and there's nothing, like there's nothing to show at the end of all that. It's like the hardest I work the whole time, and then no reward, no comment, just like tumbleweeds blowing around. It's like, oh, it'd be great if there was just someone there who was like, yeah, we did it, it was on time, and just someone.
Yeah, then like we did it. Someone to just tell you did a good job. Like, wow, that's amazing. Or even like, so.
Or even a shit job of like, oh, you fucked that right up, like.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you actually need someone to tell you that's a terrible idea. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you actually just need that. But like, I feel like the fact that I make all the decisions is very scary. Like, nobody to discuss it with. I mean, I discuss it with my family all the time, but really, I still have to make that ultimate decision. What if it's the wrong one? And stuff like, so I have liked chemistry obviously for a really long time. I have no one in my life to talk to about chemistry at all. Not one singular person. Because actually nobody cares. Nobody cares. And it's like, if I had someone there who I could talk to about candles all day, but they actually care. Whereas I tell my family about what I'm doing, and I'll be like, oh, I made this today. I get super excited whenever I make something new. And they just be like, hey, what now? I remember when I finished my master's dissertation. To date, it's still one of the proudest days of my life. Like, that dissertation was excellent. Like, the work was good. The work was fun also. I had a great time. And I remember like calling up my dad and being like, you'll never guess what I did today. And he was like, what did you do today? And I went, I confirmed using, and I started reading up all this chemistry stuff. So I confirmed using an AFM that I made silver nanoparticles. And you could hear someone's eyes glazing over. Because he's just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And
I understood today, and then I lost you.
Yeah, I understood today. I understood silver. I've got a good idea what nanoparticles are. But like, most people don't know. They don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying that. And I wish I had someone there to just let's talk shop. I love talking shop. I love talking shop. I love talking about chemistry. I really do. I just do.
Do you throw it into the social media at all? Do you ever like just geek out on the social media of like, oh, here, chemistry. Ooh.
You know what? I'm working on doing that a bit more. I feel like
you have to build your confidence up for it.
Yeah, I'm very aware of the fact that most of the time when I talk about chemistry, nobody knows what I'm talking about. So I'm like, do I want to talk about the chemistry of wax? Because that's very interesting to me. If I saw that on a candle maker's Instagram, I'd be like, I'd stop and I'd read that, like I actually would. But then I also don't want to spend all this time making it, and like the only person who reads it is me. That'll make me quite sad. So I feel like I've got to be a little bit more confident in talking about chemistry, really. Like, the chemistry is why the candle does what it does. It's why it works. It's why when you don't burn your candle correctly, it does all this weird stuff and it looks weird. That's why it's all chemistry.
So how are you thinking about approaching it? Because my thought would be like, I would go really basic stuff first for people of like, how does a candle burn? And then go like, what's in the candle? What is this? Then get more detailed as you go into it. That's how I do it. So what are you thinking?
That's a good idea. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I think I was thinking of starting somewhere like small, somewhere bit, just ease into the chemistry. Like, what is a wax? Because a lot of people think of, so a wax, in my opinion, a lot of people think of it as very different to an oil. And it's the same with butters, actually. So when it comes to skincare, body butters, a lot of people think a body butter is the moisturizer. It is not. It is not. It's not gonna actually moisturize your skin, because moisturize means putting moisture into your skin. There's got to be water there, and a body butter doesn't have water in it. That's why it's butter. It's an oil, just an oil that's solid at room temperature.
Yeah.
And a wax is very similar. Slightly different, but very similar. So I was thinking of starting there, maybe talking about like the differences between waxes and oils. I think it will be a lot easier for me to talk about the chemistry once I have skincare, because there's a lot more to say about the chemistry. So like I could do a whole post about like what's a moisturizer versus a body butter. If you have dry skin and you're thinking to yourself, I'm putting oil on my skin, like other girls on my skin's still dry. Why is that? Because that happened to me. That exact thing has happened to me. Why is that? It's because I didn't know before that an oil is not a moisturizer, because people use the language interchangeably online. It never dawned on me that the reason your skin's still dry is because all it's doing is sealing dryness into your skin. So you've just, oil and water don't mix, so you put an oil on the top to keep the water in, but there's no water in there, so there's nothing to keep in. So that relates in a way with the candles and stuff like that. So how do you improve the scent quality? Why when you buy candles sometimes is there sections where it feels like you can't smell anything because it's not been mixed well enough? Because wax, when you heat it up, basically a really thick oil, and then the fragrance oil is an oil, but they're not the same viscosity.
Yeah.
So they're not the same.
It's not like
thickness.
I want to say diffuse. It's not like, it's not distributed.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to mix it like really, really well. Otherwise you will get spots that are just wax. And it will smell like wax, basically. Which is wax on its own doesn't really smell like anything, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like if I start like small like that, then maybe I'll find a unique section of the internet of other chemists who are actually
well into candles.
Yeah, into candles too. And maybe they'll come and look at my post, hopefully, and we could talk chemistry.
Well, also, I mean, a lot of marketing, it's shouting, but it's also consumer education. It's like, that they're always telling you, like you've already mentioned this sort of your story, your journey, all of that kind of stuff. It's like you are teaching your consumers about your product, and that is sales. It's like it does this, but also it's like the whole sell the sizzle, not the steak thing. And you having that realization that with the candles, it's the scent. You literally are selling the sizzle and not the steak. Like that's your sales bit.
Plus, also, I feel like I definitely need to be doing more educational posts about my product, because I find a lot of people have candles, don't really know how to use them safely either. Actually, like things like you're supposed to trim your wick down so it's like really sharp, otherwise your flame gets really big.
Yeah.
Now, from a purely safety standpoint, obviously it's a catch fire. Wax is flammable, so like it's catch fire. The whole thing's flammable. That's why it burns. But also, I have always been telling my customers that, but I started framing it differently recently, in that telling them that if you do this, it prolongs the burn of your candle, because it does. Because if the flame is really big, you're burning a lot of wax at a time, so it goes down really fast. If you trim your wick, you could get a lot longer burn out of your candles. But by doing that education, I've found that that's the bit that customers care about more. That their candle is going to last longer. So it feels silly to be shouting about it every week, but I actually have to shout about it every week. Plus, also, please don't set your house on fire. Like, I also, you have people ask all kinds of questions like, do wax melts need water? When you please don't add any water. Please don't add water. But look, this is what I mean by, because a lot of people don't understand the chemistry. They don't understand that if you add water, it's going to be much the same as when you add water and fire.
Sorry, I've got a really kind of like you've sort of, I can imagine you doing like you could do little science experiments ones of like, here are the dangers, here's what could go wrong, and so kind of show it going like,
I would love to do that.
That'd be ace, wouldn't it?
That would be so good. When I was at university, I actually used to be a student ambassador. But so I'd go in and take kids around the chemistry department and tell them why they study chemistry, why chemistry's cool, all that kind of stuff, try and get kids to listen, chemistry. But my university used to have these people called street scientists, and they would literally walk around the streets of Newcastle and do science. I wanted that job so bad. So bad. Doing science experiments on the street, like, I love doing science experiments.
Guerrilla science.
Literally, I can't wait until my son is old enough to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously we can't do anything like that.
Yeah. Do like little volcano projects and dioramas and things. And yeah.
Yeah, I used to do all kinds of little experiments with my sister because she likes science, like my little sister. And it's so fun. Or even I go to the science centre when I'm in Newcastle just to do the experiments. They're for kids. But,
it's fun.
So
I was a kid.
Places like Magnet. I would go to Magnet all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not allowed because I have to actually take a child with me. Can't just go by myself, apparently. I wish they had stuff like that for adults though, because I'd be into it.
Yeah.
And I'm
they'll probably come.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Maybe one day I can do experiments. I'm actually quite interested in starting in trialing doing a candle making class. So, people, hey, come and make their own candle. But I get to do something I love, which is teaching people about chemistry. So, I want to trial that. I think that would be very fun. And it's helpful for education. I like telling people how their candle is made because it helps them understand how better to treat their candle. For example, don't pour it down the sink. When you melt it, don't pour it down the sink. You know what's going to happen? It's going to solidify in your pipe. Pour it down the sink. But a lot of people don't think about that kind of stuff.
That's it. Well, if you don't know, I mean, no, people talk about common sense, but it's only common sense if you've experienced it or you've seen it or you've seen somebody else sort of doing it. It's and it's so easy to not think of something blatantly obvious. So for example, with my desk where I'm situated now, this is way better than for the first 18 months of when I was running the business. I was sort of in a dingy corner and I was twisted to do any work. And I did that for ages. And then I eventually moved the desk and everything was in front of me and I could set things up. And I was like, this is amazing. Why didn't I do this before? Yeah. My life is so much not as stressful already.
This is it. And even though it seems like common sense, actually, most people have no idea how quickly hot wax cools down. Because when you pour in hot wax, literally, hopefully never, because actually, why? Dangerous. It's really hot, actually, if they're just skin. But people don't realize that if I take a jug of wax and I pour it, depending on how much wax is in there, it can start to solidify before it even hits the ground. Depends how cold it is. So if I went outside on a winter's day, poured a jar of wax, in a nice little stream, it would solidify before it hit the ground. Or it would start to. But people don't think, so I'm going to pour this wax in the pipe. The wax is hot and it's just going to rip now. As soon as it leaves the jar, it's going to start cooling down. And then it's going to become a big solid, probably in your U-bend somewhere. But, why would anyone be thinking about that if they've not tried it before? How would you know? I was shocked by how quickly
the liquids go down the sink. That's what sinks are for.
And people also don't think about what happens when it does eventually get to you're polluting. Pollution. Actually, in the lab, there's a lot of things that you're not allowed to put down the sink. You're pretty much not allowed to put anything down the sink where you have all these big tubs for different kinds of contaminants and all that kind of stuff, depending on what's in there. A lot of people don't think about how when they pour or throw, what happens to their rubbish when they throw it away. A lot of people don't think about that kind of stuff because they think, I'm throwing it away. It's gone now. No, it's not. It's probably in the ocean, actually. Yeah. Most things end up in the ocean.
Yeah, these are the away things. There's the away bucket, which needs to be taken away. And there's the away tubes and pipes where you put liquids in and they go away. And then there's stuff that comes into the house. And because you don't really deal with it. You don't deal with it until you're renting or a homeowner or until you actually have to deal with something. you're not really
Yeah.
thinking about it, because it's like, well, why would I think about that?
Yeah, exactly. Like the amount of people I meet who don't know that you shouldn't put hot oil down the sink. Like grown adults and that. I always put oil down the sink and I've never had an issue yet. You haven't had an issue yet.
I haven't
You
had a
know what?
plumber out yet.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, somewhere in your pipes, there's going to be a nice little horrible congealed
Yeah.
hot, well, no longer hot oil.
Yeah.
But obviously, when the oil's hot, very viscous, pours
Yeah.
very easily.
Mm.
That's not what happens with the pipes though. Because when you put cold water down afterwards, the oil gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And it also holds bits of food and all that kind of, and it creates a blockage.
Mm.
But a lot of people don't know that
Mm.
because why would they know that? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I think I try very hard to, or at least I'm starting to try very hard to, aside from the chemistry, educate my customers and followers and stuff about how important it is to consider the environment in things that they do.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that's where I was going to go next. I've got a green question, so yeah, sorry.
oh yeah, okay. We could do,
But I mean, it was just,
green question.
so so my framing is basically, so I use climate change to kind of cover the whole kind of environmental sort of agenda, for want of a better term. And it's basically like, what can you do to address climate change in your work? Like, is it something that you can address or do address, or like, I mean, as a business owner and a startup as well, like, I mean, is that something that you thought about initially starting up, or was it just like, I'll have to worry about that when I'm actually making money?
So I thought about it from the start, but it is quite hard as a small business owner to be environmentally friendly, because even things like having someone come and collect my waste wax. I have a big tub filled with waste wax. So when it comes time to remove that 10-kilo slab of wax that's in there, it's going to cost me a fortune. I don't know, to get someone to come and take it. Or I can probably take it to them because it's not that heavy. But to actually get it disposed of. So it is quite hard to consider stuff like that. But I thought about it from the start in first, my choice of wax. So I chose soy wax. Although there are issues around the production of soy, but mostly based on how much soy we use now. And obviously there are also people who are allergic to soy, which I have a friend who's allergic to soy, and whenever she comes to my house, I blow out all the candles just in case. But paraffin wax, for example, paraffin wax is a lot more stable than soy wax, but it's worse for the environment. So paraffin wax is extracted from crude oil, much like petrol. And obviously that's not good for the environment. Also, it's a finite source of wax. So I was very thoughtful in choosing my wax. I also would love to one day expand to like beeswax, which is another renewable alternative, but a different option to soy. But I don't have the facilities to use two kinds of wax at the moment. So we've chosen the one and stuck with it. I also think about the environment in my packaging. I feel like my packaging is the main place where I think about it. So everything is packaged in paper or cardboard. I don't have any plastic. However, in the beginning, I did have plastic. It's the cheapest way to store your products.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest way to keep them separated and stop them from all mushing together.
Yeah.
Over time, I moved the wax melt out of the plastic packaging to the paper packaging. I just had to find the right type of packaging. But I did think about it from the start. Especially in the candles, have always come boxed in cardboard because there's actually no reason for it to be in plastic. None. And plastic, even if my consumer does not recycle that cardboard, even if that cardboard cannot be recycled because of the shiny varnish that's on the outside, which I feel like it can, but they might decide they don't.
Yeah, you're not 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, how could I know it?
Yeah, you don't know where it goes when it's
area. Yeah, exactly. But even still, that is better for the environment than something I know is not going to biodegrade for millions of years. So I think about that. I also think about it in stuff like how I post my products So they are, when I actually do get online orders and I have to post it, they're packaged with packing peanuts. But if I tell you how many packing peanuts I have in my house, you would think I'm joking. But I collected all the packing peanuts from the initial massive delivery I got to make my first set of products. Even now to this day, I'm still using those packing peanuts. And I thought about actually ordering recyclable packing peanuts. So am I going to just throw these packing peanuts away? That's worse for the environment, actually. I'm getting new packing peanuts when I have packing peanuts at home. So, I encourage my customers to reuse their products. I add a seed pack in the medium and large candles so that when you finish your candle, you can actually plant some seeds and get a plant to help reduce our carbon footprint. But it's a lot more difficult to do that. And that's part of the reason why my price might be higher than some other small businesses. But it's all these environmental policies I put in place cost money. Cost money. So, But to me, it's more important to do what I can as a business owner. Because I will be the first to tell you that the average person not using a plastic straw is not going to save the environment. It's not. You need big companies especially big fast fashion companies like Pretty Little Thing. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop that. Companies like Amazon, yes, all your packaging is cardboard. That's great. Why are you sending me this ginormous box for one small thing there? Even the fact that they do the next day delivery, same day delivery, even now, terrible for the environment, honestly. And actually, we need a change in what big companies do. But if I can start making those small changes now in my company, then hopefully the bigger we get, the more I can do. Plus also, I don't want to be contributing to the eventual decline of our planet. Very big on working towards resolving climate change. Always have been. So I do what I can.
That's one of your key selling points, isn't it? It's that you can work towards being as sustainable as possible and put that into the price, but that can be more trustworthy because you're a person genuinely trying to do it rather than a big company saying, we do this.
Yeah, I agree. I actually sit there and talk to people about ways to be environment. Oh, I made a cup of tea, right before this started, and it's cold now.
I do that a lot. I'll make a coffee.
I've just realized.
It's just, you don't get a chance to drink it.
Yeah, I've just realized it's just sitting there cold now. I'm going to have to microwave it. But because I sit there and I'm actually a person talking to you about what I personally do, I think it's a lot easier to hear that out. But I also do believe that greenwashing is a very real issue. So, for example, even just in the candle space, I suppose that's a thing. There are a lot of people who make and sell candles. There are a lot of people who make and sell candles and wax melts and talk about how much better soy wax is for the environment. But everything you sell is packaged in plastic. So any benefits you're gaining from using soy wax are probably being reduced by the sheer amount of plastic packaging that's going through
and the
your
transportation for soy as well, because it's not like you can grow it in your garden, is it?
Is it like I try even and make so when I order something, I hate having to order just one thing. So I try and do big monthly orders. Where possible. Obviously, that's not completely possible as a small business because I can't have every single thing in hand and in stock. And then sometimes someone will order something that I just don't have, and I'm like, well, don't order the supplies now. But where possible, I try and make a bigger order if I can. So it'll all come in one big box. So the DPD guy does not have to come to my house 4 times this week because that's bad for the environment. I forgot what I was going to say.
It's all right. I was going to ask you, how do you get your stock to market? Have you got a van, car? Are you on foot? You've got a cargo bike?
I drive, so I actually am registered disabled, so I have a blue badge and all of that. But unfortunately, that means I have to drive a lot.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we don't.
Well, you wouldn't get it there. Yeah.
We wouldn't go anywhere. Honestly, like going to the supermarket, walking to the supermarket, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's just not practical because if I do that, that's my whole day gone just from going to the supermarket. But where possible, I will try and avoid making multiple trips. So between me and my son in the car, I will pack everything into the car so that I minimize how much driving around I have to do, even though it seems practical, sensible, but time-wise, when I make orders, I'll do them all in the same day.
Yeah.
To minimize the amount of petrol I'm going to have to use, I'll sit there and calculate what route I'm going to take to pass by everyone in the minimum amount of petrol, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be like wasting petrol. I also don't tend to do a lot of markets which are very far away.
Yeah.
So
you're only traveling local sort of thing. It's not like you're jetting off internationally and.
Yeah. I also don't ship internationally either as yet.
Was that a conscious choice? Was that sort of designed as part of the plan? Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like I feel like I'm not trying to ship one candle all the way across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
When there'll be someone near you.
Yeah.
Who makes that.
Yeah.
Probably in your city, actually.
Yeah.
Who makes something very similar. Now, obviously, one day, as a business grows, yes, I will probably start to ship to different countries. It's not sustainable to only ship to the UK.
Well, you could, I'm thinking, I want to use the word franchise, but, you could give your recipe and have someone, like set up shop somewhere else and have them make it locally.
So that's more, or I would prefer, if I'm going to do it, to ship a lot of candles.
Yeah.
A space over there.
Yeah.
In the US. This is specifically to the US because I feel like shipping to Europe, within Europe, that'll probably come a lot sooner. Because actually, it doesn't necessarily have to get on a flight, although a lot of things that go to Europe do get on a flight. They have trains, they have other options, I can look into which option is the best for me personally. But shipping to the US just seems, even though it reduces my market, because it really does, because the American, like my target audience in America, they spend a lot of money on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
you'd have an English accent and they'd be like, "Ooh, you're really cool."
They love that. But I would rather, me personally, ship a bunch of candles to the US and then have them distributed from there. Or, have someone who makes them locally there. Something like that. Because actually, the amount of shipping we do, it's just really a lot. And why am I shipping this really small box all the way over to the US? I haven't sent anything in the post out of the UK, actually. Not even to my grandma in Jamaica, because I looked into it and I thought about it and I'm just like, aside from the fact it would cost a fortune, why?
Yeah.
Like, when I go there, I'll take her one. In fact, I did send her some, but, we sent her a bunch of stuff. They're called like barrels. So you fill a barrel with stuff and then it goes on a boat and it goes to Jamaica and she gets it. So I put some in there, but to me, it just,
it's needless,
shopping
isn't it?
for locally. And there will be someone in your country doing that. I bet you could find a very similar product. I don't know about the quality. I can't speak to the quality. Also haven't ordered any candles from the US because why? But you could probably find someone who in your local area is doing something like that. So obviously I ship to the whole UK, but
but you also have a market store. I mean, at the moment, you've got a business to run. God damn it!
I do actually need people to buy stuff at the same time. But also, I also offer things like sort of like a click and collect system. If you order a candle online, and you want to collect it from me at a market, that's fine. Saves you on postage, better for the environment. Or if you order a candle and you live within like sort of like the inner portions of Leeds, obviously not too far from my house, but if you live within the inner sort of like within the like ring road area, I will deliver it. Luckily, I will drive over to you and deliver it. Obviously, it depends on individually where you are. But why am I wasting cardboard, putting it in a box, wait for a parcel peanut, to package and send you a parcel when you live 5 streets away? Like, to me, that just seems, I can just go and deliver that locally whilst I'm out and about. Might be dropping my son off, picking him up.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe you live in like Easton and we're going to Crown Point one day. Okay, so then I'll just drop it off on my way to Crown Point.
Does that sort of help upsell anything? Do people kind of, and especially if they're saving on packaging, are they kind of like, oh, well, I mean, if you're going to drop it off, well, can we get 3 of them instead? Or have you had any of that?
Once or twice, but I tend to get the fact that I offer local delivery seems to make people more likely to purchase from me at markets. So obviously at markets, I take stuff to sell whilst I'm there, but I can't have one of everything. So I'll be like, if you want this, I'll make it and then I'll deliver it to you. And that has actually helped get me sales. Just from people being like, oh, okay, so I live in Chapeltown. I do loads of markets in Chapeltown. I live in Chapeltown. Okay, well, I can deliver it to you and I will literally come to your house and drop it off. Like, that actually does help clinch some sales for me, actually. Plus also, why are you paying for postage to order from a company that's in the city? It actually saves you money if you're going to be in town on a Saturday and I'm going to be in town on a Saturday. Why don't I just give you the product? Why don't you just come and see me and I'll give you the product? Do you know what I mean? Especially before Christmas, I think it helped with sales before Christmas because you weren't worrying about Christmas delays with shipping and all that kind of stuff.
How was Christmas for you? Was it mental? Was it just really
Christmas
busy?
Was a bit hectic. I wasn't prepared. You know what? I wasn't prepared. I was not thinking in October people were going to be asking me for Christmas stuff. And
Yeah.
Do you have any Christmas candles? I was like, what? It's October. I don't like to think about Christmas really until after bonfire night. So once bonfire night has passed, Christmas. Christmas. That's the next holiday. And I'll be fully in Christmas mode. I get very into Christmas. I love Christmas. But people were asking me for this stuff in October. Even at the end of September. Do you have any Christmas scent? So I think this year I will start earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Probably create the stock in like August. And then have it just sitting there waiting. Have all the stuff ready to go. Because last time I wasn't prepared and I made a lot of sales at Christmas. To say I'd only started my business that year.
Yeah.
I made quite a lot of sales over the Christmas period. People were coming in and buying like 5 large candles. Each large candle is £24. That's so much money. But people are like, I'm going to give them a gift. People are extra festive at Christmas. I might say, I don't have any change. And they're like, oh, you know what? Just throw another one in the bag. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
At Christmas. But it just meant I was producing candles at a rate I didn't even know was possible. Every day, I was making candles every single day.
That's it. You haven't got time to produce. That's the time to sell. You need to be concentrating like 100% on sales, don't you? Really, at that point.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like this year I definitely like to get a better balance between making and selling the product because I was selling the product, but then I didn't have no time to make the products because I was always out selling the products. So I was encroaching into my own personal time to make the product. So on Monday, my son would be having a nap. I'd be outside like, right, fire it up, see how many candles I can get done. Like, no, that's not sustainable. Monday's your day off. And I make very clear about the fact that Monday's my day off. I might do that on social media here and there, but like, I'm not going to be working. It's just not sustainable. I realized that over Christmas, working every day is not sustainable. So this year, I think What does help though is because I make more sales. The more sales I make, the more candles I can make at a time. Also, the more candles I feel confident making, because I've got to estimate how many I think people will buy as well.
Yeah. And how many you can make, within a given
how many
time.
I can store.
And what materials you've got to hand, what you need to get in, and
yeah, this is it. Like I'll probably have to buy like wax in advance to be prepared. And then things start going out of stock at Christmas as well. Like supplies start getting difficult to get. I had one candle, mulled wine. It was so popular, but I just had to stop selling it because of like the fragrance oil is out of stock. Like it didn't come back in stock until like February. Nobody's trying to make mulled wine candles in February, but you see, in September now, I'm going to be ordering my mulled wine fragrance oil, big bottle. So that way, when people come and order it, I'm ready to make the candle, even if I don't have all of the candles made. Because I'll probably underpredict. I'll probably sell more than I make because that's the idea, really. I don't want to have leftover stock, but people buy Christmas candles all year round, actually. I still sell gingerbread candles now.
But you're still going to get all of those, because the line of business that you're in, like it is a popular gift item. You're going to make, up to 50% of your sales around Christmas, I would reckon.
Yeah, exactly. I think one thing I didn't really consider when I started my business is the fact that most people don't just buy candles on a weekly basis.
Yeah. You in January, customers all the time.
Yeah, in January, it's like I did not sell a singular candle, not one, not a single candle. Because who's buying candles in January? Me. So me as a person, as a consumer, I buy candles in January because that's when the Christmas candles go on sale.
Yeah.
And those are the scents that I like. So I bulk buy them in January. Obviously not anymore because I make candles for a living. There's no point. I have loads. But I would bulk buy.
The last thing I need to buy is candles.
Yeah, literally. I could not tell you the last time I bought a candle. I was like, why? If I want a candle in a particular scent, you know what I'll do? I'll go and make it. And then I'll just be like, look, we've got a new scent. Because obviously I have to buy the materials to make it. So got a new scent. But yeah, like what I didn't realize is that how people do buy candles all the time, but you actually have to be constantly contacting strangers. You don't have the repeat custom in the same way. Like, say you sell, I don't know, off the top of my head. Okay, so say you sell foundation, just because I'm in my room and that's what I can see. Say you sell foundation. When the bottle of foundation is finished, actually, that's the person will come back and buy more foundation. But but if it's someone who wears foundation every day, they might need to buy a bottle of foundation every month. Or say you sell like a body butter.
Yeah.
They need that every month. Not many people need a candle every month. Now there are some. What I did find is there are a lot of candle enthusiasts. So there are people who might come and they'll buy like 2, 3, 4 candles because they're enthusiasts. But that also means that how long it's going to be before that person burns through 2, 3, 4 candles. Actually, probably like 2 months. So you're constantly having to source new people to buy your product. I didn't really think about that. I just thought like people would just switch all of their candle buying to me. And that would be fine.
But if you hadn't had that thought, you wouldn't have started this business, is the thing. You have to kind of delude yourself into thinking it's like, that'll be easy. People will give me money for that. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't everyone flock to me and give me their money for this thing that I want to do?
Yeah, I was just sitting there like, people buy candles. So why would people not just stop buying candles from whoever they normally buy candles from, whether that be Yankee Candle or whoever, and then come and buy my candles and jobs are good. And there's a lot of people in Leeds. They can all just buy my candles. No, that's not. No, first of all, there's a lot of people who sell candles in Leeds. Firstly, competition, very saturated. And also, even though I make candles for a living, I know my friends definitely still buy candles from other people. I know they do. They definitely do.
Yeah.
And it's
like traitors.
Every time I'm thinking, wow, when I make candles for a living, really? Okay. But then also, a lot of people don't want to make the switch from going into home bargains and buying a candle, £5, candle's massive, gonna last you for ages. But actually, it's not gonna last you for as long because it's not made as well. But £5. And you get to buy all these different candles. A lot of people don't want to make the switch from that because, like, honestly, a candle's not a priority. So I'm not surprised. It's actually quite hard to get. I know I've still got family members who definitely go to home bargains and buy candle stuff. But like at the same time, my product can't be for everyone.
Yeah.
It can't be
And
for
you can't
everyone.
blame them either. It's kind of like, you know, and I mean, do you get people sort of asking for mates rates and like, oh, can you do his bunch of candles on the cheap?
You know what? You know what? Not really, no.
Yeah.
No one ever really asked me for mates rate. And I think that's because I'm very clear about how much my product costs. Right? If you don't want to buy it, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if you ask me to make it cheaper, that's probably going to be no. Unless it's like a wholesale order. I do wholesale orders.
Yeah.
So I'm in a couple of shops locally.
Mhm.
So obviously the candles are cheaper for them because otherwise why would they buy them from me? That makes no sense. But like I never really actually get anyone asking for mates rate. Probably because I give away so much stuff though. I literally give stuff to my friends and family all the time, so they don't really need to ask. Like,
Well, you can't blame them then for not purchasing, can you really?
honestly, to this day, I don't think my dad's ever bought a candle from me, but why would he when I give him candles all the time?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need it anymore.
So
And every
like,
time he comes up, I'm like, try this candle, try this candle, try this candle.
the last thing I need to buy is a candle.
Exactly. Like, he doesn't need to buy candles from literally anyone else because
Probably ever again.
Like, here's a candle, and you know what? His birthday's coming up, and you know what's going to be in his selection of gifts? Candles. Everybody got a candle for Christmas. It was like I felt like Oprah being like, "You get a candle." Everybody got candles for Christmas. They got other things, but everyone got a candle as well.
Yeah.
So like, actually, my friends and family that probably really actually do help hinder my business, but at the same time,
it's nice though to be able to like, you're making something that is nice. I mean, it's a practical, physical, real item that you can give to people, and it is, it's like a nice gift item, and it's like, oh yeah, thanks. I mean, so that's quite nice to be able to do that.
Just free promo. Look how many houses my candles in.
Yeah.
All these people have my candles, and then when someone comes to your house and goes, "Where did you get that candle?" I know my dad will be like, "My daughter made it." Very proud of that, my daughter. So, promo.
And then
like 3.
Well, then you have to get him to memorize like your Instagram and your website so he can instantly reel it off.
See, the upside is all of my social media is all exactly the same. It's all just Grants of Leeds. Before I did anything to the business, I secured the social media spot on every social media platform. So we've got a TikTok. Do we also TikTok? Not really. But a TikTok spot. All of that. I did that. That was one of the first things I did. Open an Instagram page immediately. Nobody's going to take my name. And like, I didn't post on it for months. And I didn't know. Yeah. So I suppose that's an upside. But that's why I did it like that. Yeah. So that way I wouldn't have to. There's nothing I dislike more than when your social media is different on every different. I don't like that because it just makes it harder for someone to find you, find you on social media. If it's all the same, it's very easy. And also they remember your name. It's the same on everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like also as a business owner, I kind of like giving away my products, to be fair, because I use my product to give back as well. So recently we did a raffle for Leeds Baby Bank. So Leeds Baby Bank are great. And I remember seeing towards the end of last year, they posted that they were running out of funding and they were going to be closing down. Leeds Baby Bank have helped me personally when I had my son, like before I started the business, when I had literally nothing. And I was like, right, well, that's a very real thing I can do. I can actually go make a product and raffle it. Made £82. It's only £82, but
yeah, still £82. Yeah,
exactly. It's better than £0. And that was something I could do using my platform. I also, if most people come up to me and say, "Oh, I would like to raffle your candle for this charity," and more than likely give them one. Or something, even if it's a wax melt or whatever, because like that's something I can do to help my community. So even like I've had family members who work for women's shelters, hostels, that kind of stuff, raffle their products. And they raise money for their hostel. Cool. It doesn't really cost me anything to do that for you.
Well, and you can tax write off it. You can write it off on tax as well, can't you? As
I don't know. I feel like my accountant probably can.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he can. Plus, for me, it's like I started my business to offer something to my community. So, okay, people might not see how candles benefit your community, but they actually do. That is one of your strongest ties to memory. Plus, also, I sell scents like lavender. So, lavender obviously helps you sleep. That's how we started with me trying to get more sleep.
Obviously, you don't want to be sleeping while the candle's on.
Yeah, no, preferably by the wax melt and use an electric wax melt burner. That way, if you fall asleep, it's not gonna. Then you have to. But it might just make you sleepy beforehand. Or I now sell one that's like vapor rub because me as a person, I very much dislike vapor rub. I don't, and I'm from a community where vapor rub is used for everything. Everything. My son got a splinter yesterday. My grandma was like, "Put some vapor rub on it." I don't know.
Why?
Okay. You know what? I'm not even going to ask you why, because you're just going to be like, vapor rub is good. And okay, all right. But you know what? When he gets back, I'm going to put that vapor rub on his leg. It's something to do, so it's funny. But I do not like touching vapor rub. I don't like putting vapor rub on my skin. I don't like. I just don't like it. So like I avoid using vapor rub like the plague, unless I'm really, really sick, in which case, I'm sick if I've got vapor rub.
Yeah.
It really irritates the skin on my hands. And I really, really, because it's eucalyptus and it like burns. And I really don't like it. So I created a vapor rub candle because I wanted to see if it's the smell of the eucalyptus. Really, obviously vapor rub has all the stuff in it that helps and all that kind of stuff, but the smell really that clears your chest and all of that. So will that work in a candle? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. So now I have, I'm right by the side of my bed every day, vapor rub wax melts, because I get a lot of colds with a child in nursery. They're just spreaders of disease. Comes home every day and just coughs in my face. So, I use the vapor rub wax melts, but there might be someone else in my community who has a similar issue with vapor rub. If they do, someone's actually bought one because someone bought one over the weekend and said that their brother gets really bad allergies. So they bought this vapor rub wax melt for him, and I was like, yeah, to be fair, it's going to do exactly what you want it to do in that regard. Like clear out your chest. Obviously, it's not quite as aggressive as vapor rub because vapor rub is on your skin, right under your face. But you can fill the whole room with it, and it's actually not so overpowering.
Yeah, you have to balance that quite right, don't you?
I thought it was going to be like really, really strong. I was like, I started off by using like less fragrance oil than I normally would, but then actually it's well made. Yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin, but I did that because that might help someone. That might be one other person who has that issue. But if it's helped one other person, it's enough of a reason to do it for me. And with my skincare, I want to come up with really good moisturizer. A lot of my products are going to be aimed towards people with sensitive skin because I have really sensitive skin. But I like using fancy bath stuff too, but I can't because it irritates my skin. Because of all the fragrance and stuff, like irritates my skin. But if I can make something that's going to help someone enjoy their day by having a really nice bath, or maybe they want to use bar soap and they can't because bar soap irritates their skin. So I'm going to try and create a bar soap that doesn't. Do you know what I mean? And a nice heavy moisturizer because ailment that's quite common in my community is actually diabetes. So when you have diabetes, you can get like, because the pulse circulation to your feet get really, really dry and really, really crap. So I want to make something for that because that's a very real issue in my community.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not a doctor. I cannot cure your diabetes.
No, but you're a chemist.
I can make you a nice moisturizer.
Yeah,
that's going to help you with your feet.
And,
you know what I mean?
And as well, I think, because a lot of that, the sales are kind of driven by that kind of, I won't be as harsh as to call it greenwash, but like, the sort of, oh, I'm 100% all natural this and I'm 100% all natural this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, but you can come from it as well, I'm a chemist and I know, and I'm a scientist and I also care about the environment and I'm making things locally. And so I'm going to make the best version of that I can with all of that in mind.
So I can go out and ask people in my community, what are your skin concerns?
Yeah.
And they might tell me and I'll be like, okay, I'm make something for that. Make something that helps. And also I feel like you're right, a lot of sales are driven on them being green and all natural. And one thing I want to try and educate people about in my community is just because something is not naturally derived does not mean it's bad for you. A lot of people are very scared of chemicals. Because I use chemicals in quotation marks. Everything's chemicals, including that water you're drinking. That's chemical. If it had one extra oxygen, you know what would happen? You'd die. Sorry, one extra hydrogen, you know what would happen? You'd die. So like, one extra oxygen would also kill you as well, actually. Very dangerous, actually, water, really. Think about it. Water can kill you as well. But like, a lot of people are very scared of things like that, or even on the skincare angle. And it also actually does apply on the candle angle. A lot of people are afraid to use products with active ingredients in, things like lactic acid. So a very common issue within the Black community, obviously, and that very common issue, hyperpigmentation of your skin. But a lot of people are afraid to use something that says it's got lactic acid in because they're hearing lactic acid and they're like, oh, it's chemical. Your body naturally produces lactic acid when you run and exercise.
Gives you a stitch, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's what makes your muscles do that horrible thing. Your body actually produces it, but it's good for hyperpigmentation. Salicylic acid, an example. A lot of people find salicylic acid very scary. I think often because they can't pronounce what it is.
It sounds awesome. Yeah, it's a good word.
But it literally is really good for acne. But there'll be people who are afraid of using product that's designed to cure the ailment they're looking for because they don't understand what's in it and they don't understand. They think, oh, well, I can't see how it's being made. I'd much rather buy something from someone who is making from all natural ingredients and blah, blah, blah. And I understand that. But at the same time, almost anyone can make and produce a product and sell it to you.
And you are always taking their word for it. They are just saying it's 100%. It's like, well, what do you know? Are you looking at the ingredients or are you just looking at that and going, that'll do me?
Does the product even have ingredients on it? Let's start there. Because sometimes people are just telling you something with no ingredients on it or nothing, being like, yeah, I made this out of a scrub from, all these kitchen items, food items. One thing I definitely don't like is food items in skincare because the average person does not understand that, yes, you can use food items in skincare. You've got to put preservatives in it though. Otherwise it's going to get moldy. So if you make an avocado mask, very popular, it'll be nice on your skin, very moisturizing. But if you don't preserve it, it's an avocado. It's going to go off in 2 days. Literally, avocado is the most temperamental fruit. It's going to go off immediately. But, often people are so focused on the natural side that they're not considering, actually, what's going to happen when this goes bad and I continue to put it on my face? When it gets moldy and you continue to put it on your face, you're going to be putting bacteria onto your face. That's not going to help you with your spots. It's not going to help you with your whatever issue you're trying to resolve. or a lot of people that look at it in the same way with candles of fragrance oil versus essential oils. Because essential oils are, naturally pressed and all sorts and blah, blah, blah. Essential oils behave differently. Essential oils are also not very nice on their own to use. If you buy eucalyptus oil and just rub it on your skin, it will literally burn you. It will burn you because it's like French pressed eucalyptus. Do you know what I mean? And often people are very set in the, well, it's natural. Okay, but that doesn't mean it's not safe. But also, many things are natural, but chemists literally derive stuff in a lab most of the time from a natural product that they've seen. So like willow bark versus, the top of my head, I'm gonna say it was ibuprofen, but I haven't used this information for a long time. Okay. But people used to get willow bark and sort of like make tea with it for pain. And then John Boots, the guy who owns Boots, well, obviously he doesn't own Boots anymore, he's dead now. It was a long time ago. And he saw people doing this and he was like, interesting. I'm going to try and replicate the product in that is actually working for your pain. And now we have ibuprofen because of that. Now we have ibuprofen. Is it ibuprofen? I feel like I need to look it up.
Damn it, I'm being recorded. I have to get it right.
I know. Now I feel like I have to look it up. But it's either ibuprofen or aspirin, but you see my point.
Yeah, okay.
But people will then look at ibuprofen and be like, oh,
yeah, it's just made by a big evil chemical corporation and it's just automatically evil and polluting.
Yeah, aspirin. It was aspirin.
Aspirin.
I looked it up. Yeah, it was aspirin. Well, I feel like aspirin's not something that's used that commonly in the UK, so I was mistaken with ibuprofen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was aspirin. But yeah, people look at a medication that's been prescribed by their doctor and say, okay, well, I'm going to use this natural alternative instead. Okay, but 9 times out of 10, the medication, well, not 9 times out of 10, but a lot of the time, the medication, they observe a natural phenomenon first.
Yeah.
Then they extracted the active ingredient. Then they made it better. They made it cleaner. They made it purer. They made it higher potency. And then they put it in the tablet and give it to you.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
Yeah, and most of the time, I mean, obviously within the tablet, like the actual active ingredient, the thing is normally a tiny amount. I mean, you're not having a pure sort of, you're not having like pure aspirin, are you, in an aspirin? I'm guessing. But I would guess as well with ibuprofen, it's but like, because you've got the sugar coating and then the stuff. So I imagine there's like stuff with the actual ibuprofen in it. Is that right?
I feel like no, but I couldn't say for certain because I don't do pharmaceuticals anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, they always have some other stuff in it because it wouldn't just hold to make it hold together and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I would imagine that when you'd have to put something in there. Anyway, this is total speculation because neither of us know.
Yeah, because you know what? I know a lot about. So I was very interested in pharmaceuticals, but after about like my second year of uni, when I realized how they actually make pharmaceuticals, I was like, yeah, that's not for me. Because you can spend 3 years working on something, your life's work. You send it to the first round of testing and they go, we don't like the look of that part again. Yeah, that wasn't for me. But yeah, even like, you're right though, because like people don't realize that nature and science actually work hand in hand. And if you can combine the two, that's the best option. I remember seeing something on Twitter that was going around recently was Laurie Harvey. So she has a skincare line. And she did a TikTok about doing a facial, like a mask, but she used yogurt from her fridge. The amount of people who were in my mentions arguing with me that yogurt is better than a chemically produced product. First of all, you were probably eating out of that yogurt this morning, spoon, you got all your mouth bacteria in the yogurt. Yogurt is not well preserved. It goes moldy very quickly.
Also an industrial product. Yeah.
Also, yogurt, cows don't just make yogurt. They have to make it yogurt. Like, they get the milk and they make yogurt from it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and also the thing in yogurt that works for helping remove the hyperpigmentation is lactic acid, right? That's what's doing the heavy lifting. But the amount of lactic acid in a yogurt is so small compared to clean, pure lactic acid made in a lab. And the reason we make it in a lab is it's clean, sterile. Yeah. Why? Like, and the reason it was all so funny is because in Lori Harvey's skincare line, she sells several products to help with hyperpigmentation. At least two. That's when I realized that there are so many people who just don't know and who will immediately lean towards something because it said it's natural without understanding that every natural product has a really long IUPAC chemical name still. Everything. Milk will even have one. Do you know what I mean? Like, there will always be a long chemical name that you could use. Yeah, we call water water. But you know, there's a long name for water too, as well. A very long chemical name for water. But what it actually is, which is one oxygen, two hydrogens on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think as a chemist, I have the benefit of being able to think about it like that. But because a lot of people cannot see, you can't see. So you can't see that the lactic acid in your yogurt and the lactic acid in your skincare that came from a lab is the same thing. Same. Or you cannot see that your willow bark and your aspirin, the same thing. It's just in willow bark, you're taking literal bark off of a tree, which has dirt, you know, bacteria, you know, animals could have been on here, all kinds of stuff, right? Why do that when you can why do that when you can, you know,
refine it, make it better, put some work into it, and
exactly. So like, I feel like it's really important to me to share that aspect of it with my community because there are a lot of people who just don't know these things. They just don't know, and I want to help them understand that just because it's chemical doesn't mean you have to be afraid. Everything's chemical, first of all. Even the reason your banana goes brown when you put it in the fridge because of the release of chemicals. That's what happens. And make sure banana go brown, you know, or your apple go brown or whatever. I want to educate at the same time, not just sell a product. I want to improve things for my community. And if I can help treat some of their ailments at the same time and help them have more trust in the field of science, then win-win.
Should we do a quick 5 minutes on Brexit? Because I don't know how much that would affect you anyway, because you're not shipping internationally. So maybe your supplies, but has Brexit affected your work at all in any way that you can see?
It's hard to say because I wasn't doing this before Brexit. Exactly, definitely the supply chain. There's a lot more issues in the supply chain. Even I saw this sort of like in the university as well, getting supplies. I don't think people realize how much stuff we ship from in Europe. So, for example, I want to do one little thing like where I sell matches to go with your candle in a nice little packaging. Matches come from Europe then, which means they're stupidly expensive just for me to get matches with a black phosphorus coating, because obviously it's got to match my branding. And that is a direct result of Brexit because it's going to cost so much to get them over here. Even when it comes to, I know from my supplier, they definitely have issues in getting in what they need to get in to make their products. So they have a lot longer waiting times. Even than when I first started, the waiting times are just getting worse and worse because I'm sure they must ship some stuff in and it's clearly a lot more difficult for them.
Prices going up or?
Yeah, slowly but surely they are. Plus also, part of the reason why it's so much more difficult for me to ship internationally now is because of Brexit. So pre-Brexit, it would have been very easy for me to just ship my candles off to like Holland, Germany, Czech Republic, wherever. Now that's a lot more expensive. So actually, the cost of being able to ship Europe-wide and internationally has both increased because of Brexit. So that has reduced my market. because at the moment I can only afford to ship in the UK.
Mm.
So yeah. But also we've got to do more customs declarations and all that kind of stuff. I had to get different types of insurance. For example, if I want to ship to the US, I need different type of insurance. I have to tell my provider if I want to ship into Europe, because we have to do customs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely not ideal.
Yeah, it's not helped the business.
Yeah, I feel like if we were still in the EU, that would help the business slightly. Plus, also things like if I wanted to expand and say, okay, I want to start selling my candles in the Netherlands now. It would have been a lot easier pre-Brexit to just go to the Netherlands and have a look around.
Yeah.
Speak to some people in the Netherlands. You know, now going to the Netherlands, it's hard work. I got to do customs. I got to do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it's time, and time is money, and that's potential
exactly.
production or sales time that you could be having.
Exactly, it's not as easy as now just actually trade to France. Like, no, there's all this legislation in place now. All these, and everyone's still arguing about what we're doing as well, which doesn't help.
Yeah, so it's not like it's settled, so you can't.
Yeah, can't plan, and people are only just realizing now, like when they're going on their summer holidays this year. Oh wow, really long for me to get into the country. Yeah, yeah. Before we had the benefit of being in the EU, so we could just waltz in and out of all these countries. I remember I went on a 5-country tour. I don't think I had to do like customs or anything once, but now, obviously, it's a lot more difficult to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, I feel like also, actually, one aspect that I just remembered that has affected it is access to funding as a small business owner. You used to get funding from the EU for this kind of stuff. There used to be like EU grants I could have applied for. Whilst I was at university, that was affecting me as well, because even when it comes to collaboration research papers, so I'm actually able to get a membership with the Royal Society of Chemistry because I have the qualifications to do so. But that no longer holds as much weight as it did before. When it comes to, obviously, I'm a chemist, that's why I do what I do. Lecturers have left universities and gone to other universities outside of the UK because of us leaving the EU. All of that has had a knock-on effect on me. So it's more than just getting the supplies. I don't have access to the funding that I used to have, that I would have been able to have a few years ago. The education in the university, so from the Royal Society of Chemistry, I can read their papers and stuff like that. There are staff members that are leaving, research associates who are leaving. So for me, as my field, it's actually had quite a big impact on this. I actually said this pre-Brexit, how big of an impact Brexit was going to have on sciences specifically. Because whilst I was at uni, so many of my lecturers came from other EU countries. So many. And like, without the free movement, what reason is there to stay at a UK higher institution where they don't get paid well? They're constantly on strike, all these issues that they're dealing with. You may as well just go to Germany, honestly. Especially if you can speak German already. Win-win.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to sort of elaborate on that. So I'm going to move on to the next question because I want to get your take on UBI, Universal Basic Income. So I think I know the answer to this one. So it is basically, if there was a universal basic income, would you still work? Would you still be doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I totally still be doing what I'm doing. If there was a universal basic income, it would probably be easier for me to do what I'm doing actually. Because obviously when I left my PhD, I also lost my income. So, which is an aspect people don't think of, but I lost my income. And, it's very hard to start a business when you don't have no money. Money rules it all, doesn't it? And actually, if there was a system of universal basic income, I think it would benefit not just me. So for me personally, as a person with a disability,
Mm.
it's very hard for me to work full time. It always has been. However, I physically suffer by working all the hours I do
Mm.
because I need to get paid.
Yeah.
I also have another job
Yeah.
because I need to get paid. But actually, that's less time I can spend making stuff. I think you would see more people starting businesses. You would see more people enterprising if they were actually able to do that.
And I
And
think you'd see less businesses failing as well. Like,
yeah,
I think that's one thing that gets missed out because it's like, maybe the business is viable, but maybe you're not viable as a business person yet. You know, and you need to
yeah.
sort of learn those lessons, and you know that could help.
Or
It's
even sometimes the business is good. So like I have had to continue despite the fact that, you said you haven't paid yourself. Yeah, I don't get paid all the work I do. Like,
mm,
I don't. I just don't. Like, and I no longer have to pay. Well, I used to pay to make candles for
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah,
Actually used to cost me money
yeah,
if you think about it. And now we've just got to the point where it doesn't cost me money.
yeah,
I don't really get paid.
yeah,
And actually a lot of businesses fail because during that time period,
yeah,
it is very hard to keep working on your business
yeah.
because,
If you're not
like,
getting paid, you're just spending
yeah,
money. Yeah.
for me personally, I have a toddler.
Mm.
He needs clothes, he needs shoes, he needs um literally every single thing. Toddlers grow so quickly. Wow. And you know, in order to get paid, in order to buy that stuff, I've got to get paid.
Mm.
So there are a lot of people who are running businesses right now who the business is not failing. They are closing down because they got to
Mm.
go back to work. They got to go back to their 9 to 5. They got bills to pay, especially with the cost of living being so as high as it is.
Mm.
Like even the gas and electric I use, it costs me.
Yeah.
It doesn't really cost me gas, but it does cost me electric to make my candles.
Mm.
Even that is now a factor that I have to consider.
Mm.
And, I have definitely considered going back to work.
Mm.
Um, and it's very hard to persevere at that time, honestly. Like,
Mm.
plus also, people are suffering. Like, for me, I feel like within the UK, we seem to have we have a lot of stiff upper lip and,
Mm.
we can all make it through. And people are suffering.
Mm.
People are dying.
Mm.
People are literally dying because they cannot heat their homes. Like,
Mm.
in a country like the UK, that's very mad to me. I don't understand why, if you have suffered, why would you want someone else to suffer?
Mm. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But a lot of people are very anti the universal basic income because they think, oh well, people wouldn't work. Some people wouldn't,
Mm.
but those people who wouldn't work are
Well,
already not working.
yeah, and a lot of and some people shouldn't be working, and I bet there's a lot of employers out there who would, like, if they did listen to that, would be like, you know what? Yes, a lot of my staff shouldn't be working. Maybe it's that they shouldn't be working there, but some people are just like, some people are just unemployable, you know.
Some people should not be working. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you're not even from an employability standpoint, but there are people who work and struggle and suffer and are disabled and worsen their health by going to work
Yeah.
because they got bills to pay. Like
Yeah.
I know for me, for example, I watched my mum decline and she did obviously eventually die. But like my mum worked until literally the day before she died. To
Yeah.
me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
She was so unwell.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
so unwell. She had portable oxygen, like she was so unwell. Now she worked because she wanted to,
Mm.
but how much of it was because she wanted to, and how much of it was because she had to?
Yeah. And so, well, how much of that wanting to was something that was kind of built into her of like an obligation or something? And
Yeah,
it's like,
like it
this
feels
is
like
literally killing you. Yeah. It's like, well, I have to. This is my value. This is my meaning. I have to work. It's but then because I did want to sort of, so we'll do a quick 5 minutes on kind of work-life balance. I'm sorry to kind of like jam this in.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, I mean, so, I mean, how is your work-life balance now? Are you sort of, have you managed to keep it under control, or have you been like flat out for ages, or like, have you had a chance to have a holiday? Can you switch off? Do you like delineate time? Like, how do you work it?
Yeah, I'm hoping to go on holiday soon.
Yeah.
But Up until recently, my work-life balance was pretty poor because I literally used to get home from work and go to work. And I'd be up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then my son would be up at 8 talking about breakfast. And like now I set aside time because actually to follow on from the universal basic income, I don't feel like people should be killing themselves just to pay bills. Like it actually doesn't make no sense.
No.
Like, because you know what's gonna happen when your bills are paid and you're dead.
But where's your quality of life as well?
It is it.
It's
Quality
like
of life.
what you're not entitled to have any enjoyment in your life. You're not entitled
Literally.
to like enjoy a moment or even just sit down for 5 minutes and look, like you've got to be flat out. And if you're not earning the right amount, then go to the wall. Like,
Literally, like I don't get it. Like I feel like at the moment, especially around social media at the moment, we have this like at the moment, I call it our like, girl boss culture, where especially young women feel like they got to be working a 9 to 5, and then they got to have a side hustle, and then they got to be on social media, and then you don't have to do all of that. Like, you actually don't have to do all of that. Like, okay, I get why you want to, and it's nice to have something on the side here that you can do, or at least have a backup plan and all that kind of stuff. But like, why are we making it seem like it's normal that people have to work 3-4 jobs to pay their bills? That's not normal. It's not normal.
Yeah, but shouldn't the ideal to be like, especially if you're going to work a job, shouldn't it be like getting a good job? And shouldn't there be some good jobs? Like,
exactly.
and then what is the definition of a good job? Well, something that can give you a life outside of that job and give you a life full stop,
Yeah, to me, I feel like the fact that people are doing all of this and making it seem as if you're not doing all of this, you're lazy, and it's just like, nah, maybe I actually want to, sit down occasionally, rest, spend time with my son. Like what I realized recently was I used to work so much, I never spent any time with my son. And I actually started my own business so I could spend more time with my son.
Yeah.
So actually, clearly there's something going wrong with that work-life balance there because he was missing me. I was missing him. And actually, why am I working every weekend? It's not necessary. It's nice. It helps my business grow faster. Yeah, that's cool and all. But if there's no work-life balance, for me, when there's no work-life balance, no work gets done either. Because I'll work flat out for a while, but it's not sustainable.
Well, that's it.
And eventually I'll stop doing everything.
Your productivity actually declines after a certain number of hours anyway, doesn't it? It's kind of like, so you put in this time and it's like, oh, well, I need to get it. It's like, it'll wait till next week. It'll wait till tomorrow. It'll wait.
You know what? I used to be like the kind of person who was like, I need to have like a couple of black stuff every single candle that I sell. And you know what? No one will die if I don't take that candle. If I don't have that candle in stock, no one's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, actually, it might be slightly inconvenient, but you can still order it. If someone really wants the candle, they will order it. But I do get a few pre-orders every time. I get a few. But like, if they really want it, they'll order it. Like, I do not need to kill myself making the amount of candles I was making every week. And for what? Because I would sell a fraction of them. And then I would make candles to replace the ones that are already there. No, not necessary. I've got like 100 candles.
Did you like? So I wanted to mention this earlier, but when you were talking about sort of cooking all the candles and stuff, I've got visions of you that like stirring huge big pots, like hours at a day, wiping sweat off your brow. Like, was it just like that? Jars forever and stirring forever?
Yeah, some days it is actually like that, and because I've only got limited space, I can only make so many. So, for example, over Mother's Day, I did a specific Mother's Day collection, so I had some pregnant mummy candles, and I had some mummy and baby candles and all that kind of stuff. I still sell them. But I made stock of them for people to buy at the markets running up to Mother's Day. And it's like, I'd wake up, drop my son off, go to the gym, come home, make a candle, come back a few hours later. I was making candles at 8, 9 o'clock at night because I can only make so many at a time. And I was turning out candles to make another one immediately. And it literally would be me stood in there all day, stirring wax, pouring wax, waking wax. Why? And sometimes I'd look at the time, it's 10 o'clock at night, it's dark. why am I outside making
What am I doing? Why did I do this?
What am I doing? Literally, like, or sometimes I'll be sitting there creating a carousel post at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, you know, when the screen goes black and you just catch sight of yourself, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Go to bed. Actually, no one is going to die if you don't post on social media for a day. But the culture makes you feel like you really have to be working all the time, and it's like you actually don't.
Yeah.
You actually don't. That's partly why I have my business, because I want people to take better care of themselves. So, okay, if you've got to work all day, at least you can burn a nice candle. And you know what? It might change your mood.
Yeah.
It actually probably will change your mood, actually, just having something smelling nice in the room with you. But yeah, the work-life balance it's very hard to keep on top of the work-life balance, because when the business is yours, I want to do it all. And I want to make everything. And I want to sell 18,000 products, and I just can't, because I can't.
And you want to get the most out of each day, and you want to, like, because you know, there is the social pressure in the grind culture and stuff, but it does come from yourself as well, of like, but I want to get this done. And it's like, yeah, but you can do it tomorrow. It's like, oh, no, I need it's in my mind now. I have to get it. It's like, yeah. And then another thing comes up. It's like, you will end up, if you don't stop yourself, you will end up working till whatever o'clock in the morning every night, and then getting up and then being knackered, and then you really do have to limit yourself.
When I get up and I'm knackered, that's it. It's a wrap. Nothing's getting done that day.
Yeah.
I will go back to sleep. One thing about me, I'm gonna go back to sleep. And like, because I'm used to that like academia culture of actually staying up all night working on something. I used to do that all the time. I just stay up all night, sun's coming up. Why are you working on social media posts? Is it that serious? Is it that serious? The social media posts that 15 people interact with, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I had to take a step back and say to myself, it may slow down your rate of growth, because that was great for growth. It grew really fast. But also, I had no work-life balance. I had no joy. I didn't enjoy making candles anymore, because like, it's not fun if I have to do it. Like, it's only fun if I want to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely really hard to get that balance.
Thank you again to Kahina for being my guest. Thanks again to all my guests, and thanks to you, Leeds, for being my subject. And of course, most of all, thanks to you, my dear listener. Come back next week to hear me speak to a mortgage broker. So, listener, I still need to pass off the costs of making this show to you, my audience. What would make you spend £1 on this show? I really need to monetize this podcast now. So just so I can keep making it. I can't afford to do this on my own anymore, but I really do want to reach that 1,000th episode. So I really need, and I really do appreciate any support you can give. I know I have been bitching recently, but it's not easy doing this, and it's very lonely taking on something like this for yourself. I know no one asked me to do it, but no one asked Jeff Bezos either, and someone gave him a load of money. I do believe there is demand for this, though. 200 listeners last month would hopefully agree with me on that. Now, I need to get y'all to muck in somehow in order to keep this show rolling on. At the moment, I'm at the very limit at what can be achieved on the resources and capacity I have available to me. Collapse is setting in now. No, I don't mean civilizationally, although that is clearly speeding up this year, but the podcast itself is collapsing. It needs to feed. And I can only give it so much of my life force. It needs more. It needs you. You have to feed it. So please spend £1 on this, £1 a month. And I reckon I can make it worth your while. I do have plans for this show. The business Western Studios will possibly have to close in the next few months, as I really have no capacity to devote to it. I will likely have to let the website go too, because I can't afford to pay the £70 plus that is required for keeping that up and running next month. The podcast may possibly follow the business's demise if I can't get some funds coming in to pay to keep it going. Life in the 2020s, eh? There's no escape, is there? Okay, that's me. Cheers, ears. Take care out there and be kind to each other, Leeds. If you're listening to this, I assume you have some connection to Leeds, like living here or being from here. If you're such a person in Leeds or from Leeds and you haven't done your recording for working hours yet, then don't wait. Email me now, right now. Quick, get a pen. workinghourspod@western-studios.com. If you fancy being my guest, put guest in the subject line of your email and add a short bio in the message. Stick in some suggestions of your availability and I'll send you a release form and a Zoom invite. If you'd like to be on working hours, I will need a 2-hour window for us to record in. I can record in your work time or during your downtime. I have been recording interviews for working hours for over a year on Zoom, but I can also record offline. You can appear on working hours anonymously, or you can promote yourself and or your company or brand. Cleaner or owner, what is your experience? How do you feel about work? What do you like and not like? What do you do, Leeds? Be a part of local history, have your voice heard, share your wisdom, give us the inside skinny. This is your show, Leeds, and it's all about what you make of yourself. Do you know what you're doing? If you do, then come and tell me all about it. Come on working hours, even if you don't know what you're doing. I certainly don't. Email me right now. Quick, get a pen. workinghoursepod@western-studios.com. If you're allowed to do that, that is. If you're not allowed to do that, then tell me why. If you and your business aren't ashamed of what you do, then let's hear all about it. What good are you doing the rest of us? Are you socially useful? Am I? Is this? Send your feedback, questions, comments, and queries right now to workinghoursepod@western-studios.com. What is happening, Leeds? Find out by following this show on Twitter @WorkingHours3 and on Instagram @WorkingHoursPodLeeds to find out when new episodes are going to be released. Or just use the hashtag #WorkingHoursPodLeeds on either of those sites to find me. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Western_Studios_Leeds. I'm also on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/IN/Simon-Treen. Treen is TREEN. Or you can go to my company page, which is linkedin.com/company/Western-Studios. If you want to make a podcast in Leeds, whether it's for a cause, a publicity campaign, a product promotion, or your own passion project, then get in touch with me. Western Studios for support, advice, and guidance on anything podcasts. At Western Studios, you work with a real life loiner who is actually in Leeds, who you can actually work with on making podcast content. So don't wade through articles and videos and podcasts about how to make podcasts. Just get on with it. Western Studios can make your podcast with you or even for you. Western Studios can take on your podcast's boring, time-consuming, and painful admin, recording, editing, transcription, whatever. Tell me about it. I feel your pain. For a charge, I'll share it. Writers, what are you doing with your lives? Hopefully you're writing. Well, I know there are listeners out there who want to hear great original writing performed as audio content and made in Leeds. How do I know this? Because I'm one of them. Help me make Muck for Brass, a series of short stories, poems, performance, whatever, all published as podcast content. Is your work arty, salacious, pulpy, strange? Good. I want to make it a podcast. I get practice making the show, and you get a finished, performed, and published version of your writing. Businesses, campaigns, brands, got an inkling that you'd like a podcast but don't know where to start? Hit me up at western-studios.com and we'll start making your podcast straight away. The first hour of arranged consultation and pre-production time is free. So what do you have to lose? And what are you waiting for? Save yourself the hassle and the headache and make your podcast with a Leeds-based, in real life, podcast producer, that's me, Western Studios Leeds. Once again, please let Working Hours get big and strong by joining its Patreon. Support Working Hours by becoming a champion on Patreon for £1 a month. You can inspire me and motivate me with a membership and maybe one day even be helping to cover all my costs. You can chat to me there and see me do a monthly live stream where, again, you can chat to me all about the show and, God, do I need to find someone to actively share this project with? Go to patreon.com/workinghourspod right now and sign up, please. And or go to Ko-fi, that's ko-fi.com/working hours and join me there for £1 a month and get access to the Working Hours Discord and chat to me there. I will be putting up additional material on Ko-fi once there are any members there. Please do remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe to this show. Every little bit helps. Tell your gran, tell your housekeeper, tell your gardener, tell your parole officer, tell your boss, tell Leeds, and I'll see thee next time, our kid. Working Hours is presented, edited, and recorded by Simon Treen for Western Studios Leeds Limited. The music was The Bees from Chopin's Etudes, which is in the public domain and was taken from museopen.org.